Hi, Trenton.
Hi, Connor. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Welcome to Switching Reels.
Ooh, welcome to Real Switching Now.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
We watched
Today,
a really cool religious movie today,
it was not a religious movie.
but it was The City of God.
Yes, it was The City of God. We watched The City of God today.
Good old Jerusalem.
It's not Jerusalem.
The Jews showed up. Israel showed up.
It was mentioned when they were talking about Israeli firearms.
Spoilers.
Yes.
There's
No,
Israeli
that's not behind the
firearms.
spoiler wall. All right. First off, this is a crime movie.
Is it a crime movie?
Yes, very much so.
Interesting.
It's a crime movie.
Fantastic. Who are recommending this crime movie, if that's what it is?
I would say if you enjoy crime movies and if you're not off-put by subtitles.
Yeah, it's another subbed movie.
Yeah.
Not Japanese this time.
No.
So,
This is also one of my favorite crime movies of all time. Like, this one falls very close to like The Departed for me, and which we will watch later. But
nice.
like those two kind of vie for my favorite crime movie position.
Nice.
I know I've said The Godfather as well, but that's
It is number 2, so like, you can't just keep going around saying, "Oh, The Godfather is my favorite," because you sound like a scrub.
yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah, it's like
this is reasonable. This is more. It's farther down the list. You're like, "Oh, okay. I hadn't seen or even heard of The City of God."
yeah,
before
this
point.
one's weird because like a lot of people have seen it, but a lot of people don't even know it exists.
Nope.
And
I had no idea.
I think that's a travesty,
Yeah.
personally. Which brings us to our next point.
Does it deserve its place?
I'd say absolutely.
This is 25 right now, I think. Something like that.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere around there. I would agree.
Yeah.
Actually.
And I probably wouldn't put it much higher, despite my love for the movie.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But
no, totally. Like I think that this is one of the most like harmonically resonant films with where it is. It just fits. We're on this list so far.
Yeah,
I
and it
definitely
definitely
agree.
like it definitely deserves to be on the list.
Yeah,
there's no
absolutely.
question about
I would
it.
agree with that. Like, and probably just because I'm desensitized because we've watched so many very heart-wrenching movies. This one is heart-wrenching too, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Like I watched this one. I was like, no, this is refreshing almost. Again, I said that about when we watched. I can't remember what we watched. Maybe it was Interstellar, but yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. I will say nothing because I don't remember what I was going to say.
Good man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. All right. Ratings.
This one is an enjoyment 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
And I would say there are some things that feel like they should drop the technical a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it's part of what makes the movie great.
Exactly.
So, like, I'd say this is a light 8 to a strong 9, somewhere in there.
Flipped it, but yes.
Strong 8 to a light 9, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I would actually, I think I'd completely agree with you. I'd probably put my enjoyment 9 or 9.5, but
Okay.
Technical, I would agree. I think it's a solid 9,
Yeah.
actually. Like, I really didn't notice very much about this that it would have changed technically.
So my biggest issue with the movie, I also think is one of the movie's biggest strengths, which
talk about
is... Huh?
Can you talk about it on this side of the
Yeah,
wall?
I can talk about it on this side of the wall. It's the entire way that the story is structured.
Yeah, I loved
It's
that.
It's kind of like all of these small vignettes that like fit together so well to tell an overarching story.
Yeah, like really well.
It's
I was
just-
really surprised.
It's
Every time they're like, it's a
like
new vignette now.
everything feels super disconnected, but
Yeah.
somehow a part of the whole.
Absolutely.
And again, I think that's the movie's strength, but I also think that it's a weakness as well because like half the movie you're watching going like,
Where am I again?
why are we learning about this random person who has
Exactly.
to this point in the story had no...
The movie does a really good job, though, to me at least, of building faith You know,
Yeah.
it's like, trust me, man.
Yeah.
You know, like I promise we're going somewhere.
I'd say once it moves past the 60s section, when we're still in the 60s section, we're
little-
still trying to figure things out and all that kind of
Exactly.
stuff. But by the time we're into the 70s, it starts to really click.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Love that. That's great. I think
so
we're
we're-
only gonna have a good conversation here.
Yeah.
It was a good movie.
Yeah. So, like, subscribe,
Please.
comment,
Would love to have you guys.
or
those things.
don't.
Yeah.
I'm
just
not
watch
going to
it.
tell you what to do.
You can share it to people too.
Yeah, I
I'd
mean,
love it if you shared it. Send it in Messenger, like is weird to do for full length videos. Or Discord. Discord is more normal.
just put it on Facebook.
Okay. If that's what we have to do.
add it to your Instagram story. I
That's
don't
better.
know how
We haven't-
Instagram works.
I
so.
mean, we'll be making a post on Instagram, so you can totally incorporate it into your Instagram
okay,
story.
fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do it.
But yeah, this is where we're gonna have the spoiler warning.
Spoiler wall coming
Um,
towards you.
So before we get into any of the spoilers, I just want to say, if you haven't watched this movie,
Yeah, just go do
I
it.
would recommend it.
Yeah, I would
um,
recommend it too.
Understanding
Pretty
that
strongly.
it's a pretty gritty movie.
Yeah, it is pretty gritty. Like, if you're already here, this is past recommendations already. Whoops.
Yeah.
I forgot to give mine, I think, actually. I would recommend this to people, basically full stop. Like, it is pretty gritty.
Yeah.
There is profanity, but it's in a different language, so you only have to read profanity. There is plentitude of nudity, and lots of drugs.
Yeah.
That is, like, this hallmark of this movie is drugs.
I think as far as drugs in film go, I'm pretty desensitized to it at this point.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. In
'Cause
case
I've-
you're not, though. In
Yeah.
case you're not, this is swimming with drugs. There's not a scene, basically, where someone does not die or have drugs.
Yeah. And there is some really intense stuff in this
Yeah.
as well.
Absolutely. No, very intense,
yeah.
for sure.
And since we're past the spoiler wall, like the scene where they shoot the kids in the foot
Yeah.
and then
Have the kid shoot the other kid,
yeah,
and that kid dies later.
yeah,
Whew.
like it's an intense movie.
It's a very intense movie. Yeah.
Which brings us to our summary. Do you
Yeah.
want to do this?
Yeah, I'll do this is a heartwarming story of what it's like to grow up in the 60s and 70s.
All right. I would say this film largely follows. Hold on. This film largely follows Rocket, who is a kid that is growing up in the slums, and wants nothing to do with any of the crime element.
He's not blasted
That-
off even once.
He wants nothing to do with the crime element, because he dreams of becoming a photographer, and that's basically all he wants to do. But he wants nothing to do with the crime element, despite the fact that it is sort of prevailing over the entire society that's around him. So we watch him as he interacts with the world that is kind of controlled by a criminal named Lil Zay, as he sort of rises to power and then gets into like a full-on war with a guy named Knockout Ned, and it all comes to head in a giant firefight that leaves one of them, or I guess one of them dead and the other one soon to be dead.
Yep.
So,
And all on camera.
yep. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah. That's probably the closest summary I can give of the movie.
Completely.
It's
very accurate summary for
Yeah.
sure there.
But as we've said before, like there's a lot of characters that just kind of
So
like
many characters.
they start out as being not important to the story at all, and then as their sort of thread finishes, you can see why it was important that we get to know these characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think it's masterfully woven in a way that makes it very difficult to sort of put your finger on narratively.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is going to be great. So let's go into initial reactions. I really liked this movie.
Yeah.
I don't like. There was a lot of death and there was a lot of sadness in it, but it was a really well done movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just genuinely
Yeah.
well done. I would put it above Silence of the Lambs. I know why it's here and not above Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Mostly because of probably the target audience, but I put it above it. It's a very
Yeah,
very
I mean, I
good
prefer
movie.
this to Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Like, but again, this one's
Like, I might
top 10
rewatch
for me.
this one. Like, this was actually fairly, like, it was really good.
Yeah.
It's competing with 12 Angry Men, actually.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
it's up there. I'm not sad about this movie.
Yeah.
It is intense.
Yeah, it is.
Comparing the two is comparing a black and white orange to apples. So,
Which one's the black and white orange? Oh, I guess it's the 12 Angry Men.
yeah, it
Okay,
is.
that makes sense.
Sorry. It's like comparing black and white orange to carrots.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I saw this, I was in high school, and I was just absolutely blown away because I didn't know you could tell a story like this.
No.
Like,
I've always loved this kind of storytelling too, though. Like the not first person, but kind of first person things, or first person from a different perspective, which is weird.
yeah,
First person perspective from like a strange.
kind of like a first person omnipotent.
Yes,
kind of,
exactly.
yeah.
It is almost first person omnipotent because we always come back to Rocket.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's always someone that Rocket has known or has seen and has interacted with that he is talking.
But a lot
about.
of the stories are sort of like, you get the sense that they're legends inside the place. So everybody has heard about, say, the apartment.
So have you read Brandon Sanderson's Secret Project 1? Yes, you have.
I have, yeah.
Trust in the Emerald Sea. It feels a little bit like that from the narration perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have Rocket as
A little
the
bit,
one
yeah.
nearly omnipotent narrator
Mm-hmm.
because he's lived and is a reporter. And, like, yeah. It was,
Yeah.
I thought it was a really, really cool perspective to have.
Yeah. Also, Yumi the Nightmare Painter has the same.
Oh, it does?
Sort of, yeah,
same
except-
narrator. Oh, and also that's separated a little bit. That's a good
Except
point,
he's a
actually.
coat rack through the entire
He's a
thing.
coat rack. Spoilers for Secret Project 3? I didn't think I'd have to say that.
I didn't realize that this would be a problem, but if we have any crossover audience between...
Brandon Sanderson's work in movies.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. We're fans.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, no, completely agree. Like,
Yeah.
Because it was more narration. Like, but
Yeah.
they told the narration perfectly.
Yeah.
They included the narrator, and the narrator was reliable, actually. It was
Yeah.
weird that he was such a reliable narrator. It was very cool.
Yeah. That is actually something that I really love about this film, is that, like, there is sort of this strange balance between Rocket as narrator and as character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have more to say about that
No.
in
and-
particular.
Yeah, I completely agree. Seeing some performances. There were so many good performances in this movie.
Yes. I don't think there's a bad one,
No,
honestly.
I
And that's
really-
weird to say.
Yeah.
Like, especially with the amount of child actors they had.
Like, what? Where did they find all of these good children actors?
Right? Like,
Someone got shot in the foot.
yeah, when the kid gets shot in the foot, like, it's believable.
Yeah, this guy is in
Like,
pain
you
and also
feel-
scared for his life.
Yeah, you feel so bad for this kid.
Yes. For all the kids involved in that situation.
Right,
And in
yeah.
every situation here.
But that seems so strange because, like, the majority of child actors just haven't found their chops yet. Like, there are a select few, but, like, even in big budget American stuff, which is where the money is,
Exactly.
like,
You don't
it's-
find this kind of.
yeah,
And I
you
think
don't
it
find
is-
this kind of talent that young.
No, and I do think it's a little bit like how it was shot.
Yeah,
Like, we don't have a lot of, we have some close-ups of kids. They're almost
Yeah.
always like in a crowd or in a group of kids.
mm-hmm.
And I think that was smart to do because when
Yeah.
you have groups of kids together,
Yeah,
you can't go wrong with it. You know,
that's fair.
Like,
Yeah,
you don't have to choreograph that much because they're doing it for you.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, even when they did get
Yeah, like
close-ups or
Exactly.
or the medium shots. Yeah,
Yeah.
steak and fries.
Steak and fries. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a crazy movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, so good. Yeah. Really, really good.
And yeah, I mean, like,
And the,
especially the kid that played Lil Zay as a
Yeah.
kid,
yes.
like, he is bone chilling from the beginning,
From the very beginning.
which is
You're like,
wild.
I can see how this entire story plays out.
Yeah.
Based on this one child. As soon
Yeah.
as I saw people dead, I was like, oh no, he killed him.
Yeah.
There's no.
I didn't realize how overt that was.
Yeah, it was really overt. Like they
Until
weren't doing
this
anything.
watch.
Like
Yeah.
the adults
Yeah.
weren't doing anything.
Right, yeah.
The only one that could have is Little Dice at that point.
But I remember the first time I watched this, and part of this was probably that I was in high school.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like I remember thinking like it was a big mystery. Like how could they have
died?
how did all of the people get shot? Like
Yeah,
did
wasn't
I
the
miss
police?
something? Like
Exactly.
yeah. But like going back and the fact that like they start hearing the gunshots, they go, "Oh, it's the police shooting."
Yes.
And then they immediately bring up like Lil Zay's gone,
Yeah.
or it goes in the other direction. It's one of the
Little Dice.
two.
Yeah, exactly.
Or yeah,
I'm
Lil
just thinking
Dice.
something's wrong. He's gone.
Yeah. But yeah, that like watching it again, I went, "Oh wait, no, this is super clear."
They tell you. They tell you what's going on here.
And it actually makes it a little bit more jarring when they go back to show him doing it.
Yeah.
Like, because you kind of would expect, like, you find him there and you're like, "Oh, he's there." And then, like, they go back and show that
What he
night.
did.
And that's, yeah.
That guy had a problem from a very young
If
age.
you're past the spoiler wall and you don't know, Little Dice was a kid
And
that
killed
was just kind
7
of put
people.
on lookout duty while they went in and robbed a motel. And then he went in after they had left everybody tied up and shot all of the tied up people.
And some that weren't tied up,
Yeah.
just naked.
Yeah.
This is one of the times
Smiling and laughing the
yes,
whole time.
the entire time. The one thing that got me a little bit was counting shots in this.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Your guns have infinite ammo,
Yeah.
which is nice. Very convenient
Yeah.
as a plot device. But like he killed like 7 or 8 people with a 6-shot revolver.
Yeah.
And almost everyone in this had either a 6-shot revolver or some other sort of non-mag. Like some of them were magazines, some of them weren't. And the ones
That's
magazine
until-
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
the 60s were all revolver.
yeah. Yeah, once they get into the 70s, that's when.
But even Knockout Ned had a propensity for revolvers. Like that
That's
first
true.
one, whenever he actually like comes and tries to shoot everyone at first
Yeah.
was a 6-shot, and he shot like 12 shots.
And I wonder how much of that would be accurate to the time period and the location.
Mhm.
Like, just because,
Absolutely.
like, that's what's available.
Yeah.
And, like, there are guns everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
but not a whole lot of, like, first-hand, like, top-of-the-line guns
Yeah.
until the gangs start
Either
bringing
buying them
in
or stealing
yeah.
from gun shops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it makes sense.
And the focus on corruption in this, like you start
Yeah.
at corruption. Like there's
Yeah, like the cops in this are never straight arrows.
Nope. There
Um,
isn't one.
and actually, that was something that was interesting on this watch too. Is like there are a total of maybe 2 or 3 people in this that ever show a shred of kindness to people without something that's self-serving.
George.
George?
Yeah. I think George was good.
George.
Everyone loves George.
Oh, that's not George. That's Benny.
Is it Benny? How did I get George?
I don't know. That's
That's
what I was confused
crazy.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Benny is the
One that everyone loves.
one
Yeah.
that everybody likes.
Benny.
Obviously,
he was like self-serving to a fair extent, but
Yeah.
like
but he also cared about other people. Like it was me first, but once I'm taken care of, I can take care of everybody else too.
exactly.
But most people, like Rocket included, like
Mhm.
just looking out for number 1.
Yeah.
And that was just really interesting to watch this time through. of like, wow, there's not a whole lot of people here that like you can really get on board with.
Nope.
Like Knockout Ned at the beginning.
Yes, he's a great guy at first.
Yeah.
You even kind of like empathize with some of the like 60s of the whatever the trio is.
Oh, the Tender Trio?
Yeah, the Tender Trio. Like,
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It is Robin Hood-esque with more emphasis on the fact that
Yeah.
they're getting something from this.
Some of it is like, to me, the Tender Trio strikes me very much as like thrill seeker kind of
exactly.
criminal behavior. Like it's
Yes.
not
We're not
like,
doing this for power.
They're not doing it for power or money or anything. They're just doing it because it's a fun thing to do,
Exactly.
which is kind of messed up. But
When in Rome. Or
Are you
when in
just-
Jerusalem.
are you just gonna start saying different cities that have nothing to do with this movie?
At least when in Rome's a saying.
That's true.
When in LA.
Depends on the part of LA and the time of day. So weirdly, standout scenes, there aren't a lot of them to me. And I think
Yeah.
part of the reason is because this entire movie kind of feels like one sort of chopped up scene for the most part. Like there are definitely changes that happen throughout it, but I feel like as soon as you get from 60s to 70s, and the 60s only lasts like 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20,
Something
30.
like
Yeah.
But yeah, once you get into the 70s, like it feels like one continuous scene all the way through.
Yeah, no, totally. There's, I think I think Benny's scene for like his going away party is pretty standout, and I think did a really good job of
Oh yeah,
like,
like with the flashing lights and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
and even just showing like, hey, it's a big enough party that the small disturbances that Lil Z can do,
yeah,
except for when shots start getting fired,
right, yeah,
don't matter, which
Yeah.
is fantastic. And then that entire section after he dies also is pretty standout
yeah,
in a heart-wrenching way.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like so there is also the rape scene.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, that has stuck with me.
Yeah, it's
It's a uncomfortable scene for
Mhm.
sure.
also the shoveling to death in the 60s.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad we didn't see that. Like they got you the perfect amount of close that you're
That
like,
was-
wow, I'm uncomfortable, but I can bear with it, you know?
I don't know. So the more films that I've watched, the more I'm like, just show it to me because my imagination's gonna make it way worse than you
No, I
ever
was
would on
happy
film.
with it. I was fine with it this way, actually. Shorty deserved much worse
Yes.
on all counts.
Yeah. Yeah. For like it's uncomfortable for sure.
Mhm.
One thing that I did really appreciate about that is that they focused in on the amulet when he was doing that.
Yeah. To
Because
call back to the
call-
shaman.
Yeah, who gives him the amulet and says, "Don't have sex with this on, you'll
Bad
die."
luck. Exactly.
And then he dies later, and I feel like that was kind
It's
of
like over a year later, but it does
yeah,
happen.
but it's a direct result too.
yeah. No, that's a good point.
So
Oh,
yeah,
that's a really good point.
yeah. I appreciated the thematic through line there.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily what I would like to watch.
No.
But
and thankfully, again, they keep good distance.
yeah,
Like there's certain things that they're like, this might be a little too squeamish for us.
yeah.
Like Schindler's List does not have the same.
No, it does not. It does not have the same
It's like-
hesitation.
yeah, yeah. Like there's something to it. This one does.
I will
Like, hey,
say-
lots of gruesome murder. Fine.
I will say Schindler's List is probably a little bit more detached than this is as well.
Absolutely. No, it absolutely. Because at some point you can't be attached.
Yeah.
Like with this one, they all still kind of like almost have a purpose in doing it.
Mhm.
Like this is the way of life instead of we're committing an atrocity.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah. The emphasis also on generally like it starts as children. Like the runts show up less like before halfway through.
Yeah,
And
that at that point, like we haven't even really established that the city is the city yet. You know, I think it's still.
yeah,
Oh
right.
wait,
It's
it's right
before-
after. It's right after we get into the 70s. So like everything's been built up at this point. But
Yeah, I can't remember if he had already murdered everyone by that point or not.
no,
I think,
he hadn't.
Oh, no, he had, because he goes and murders everyone when he gets the first blunt for Angelica, and that one is way before the runts.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's not way before the runs though, because he's with her, basically in the next scene.
Yeah, in the next scene they break up. Like Angelica is still with.
No,
T-Rex
they
his face.
break up, but I'm pretty sure the next scene that we see Rocket or Angelica is the scene where they're
Well, that would
together
be
on the
true.
beach.
Yeah, that might
So-
be true. Totally. Yeah, so it's
At least that's the way that I remember it. I don't
scene
know.
wise, it's very close.
Yeah.
But yeah, the impact they have is weird.
Mm-hmm. The runts?
Yes. And the
Well-
amount of like again, just the cycle perpetuating. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing to stop it.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a really strong theme through the whole movie. You know, you see all of these people that are being killed and then their loved ones come back for
Yeah.
somebody. Like the guy that kills Knockout Ned, he was the kid of the security guard
That
after
Knockout
Knockout
Ned
Ned went.
killed.
Yeah. Which he was at that point killing aimlessly,
Yeah.
just because
He got in the way.
he got in the way. But like he was only there because of his girlfriend being raped.
And then his family getting murdered by
Right. And the reason that Lil Zay was where he was and all of that was because number one, he was going to kill Carrot, and number two, he was still fucked up over what happened to Benny.
Yeah.
And the only reason Benny died, right? So it's all this
Always because
was because
Lil
of
Z had threatened to kill him.
no, it was because he had taken over Blackie's
Oh yeah.
business.
That's true.
Yeah. Well,
And then
not
also
because of
threatened to
that.
kill him.
It was because he kicked him out.
Yeah.
But like again, all of this, like all of the violence goes.
In so many
Yeah.
circles. It does feel a little bit like Lil Dice was a start, you know? Like he didn't really have a much of an origin story.
That's
as
true.
it comes to everyone else
That's
in this
true.
story.
But that
Even-
was
but
he
still
was
had
the
his
natural.
brothers. Yeah.
It was the natural
Progression.
progression from what the Tender Trio was doing.
Exactly.
So yeah,
And then Tender Trio did it because of the government.
well, I think that they did it because they were poor and
Because of the government.
sure.
It wasn't because of the government. But yes, it was.
Yeah.
Destroy the government. It would have been better.
I don't know if that's the case.
Moral of the story. Government doesn't do anything good here. All the police are corrupt. So
I will say, this movie sprinkles in humor in some really weird places, and I
Really
kind of love it.
places. Like you have to. They did such a good job with
Like
it.
one of my favorite parts is when Knockout Ned's sitting at the table, and he goes, "I don't know why that fucker didn't just kill me."
and then hands over to Lil Z. Why didn't I just kill that guy? So good. It was very funny.
Yeah, it's just these random scenes that you're just like it's not there enough for you to expect it,
No.
but when it's there frequently enough that when it does hit, you don't
Like-
feel bad.
Exactly. It doesn't feel out of place. Like
Right, yeah.
everything in this, like even though it's a cacophony of strangeness,
Yeah.
doesn't feel out of place.
Yeah, it's
Like,
very
They
yeah.
told the story perfectly.
Yeah,
it's
it's very
so
cool how it all
perfect.
sort of fits together.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree.
And there are lots of, I guess these are kind of the standout scenes, right? That we
Yeah.
can go through,
That we're
but
talking
like
through here.
the chapter Flirting with Crime, right?
Yeah.
Where Rocket is trying to become a criminal, but he
Everyone's
can't.
just
Everybody's
too
just too cool.
Ugh.
Couldn't hold up Knockout Ned. He was too cool, and he let one of
Yeah.
them through the
Exactly.
turnstile for free.
Couldn't
Couldn't hold up the bakery because the
lady
girl
was nice and flirting with him.
was
Couldn't hold up the guy from New Jersey, essentially, it sounds like. Because even he was nice.
and nobody from New Jersey is cool.
Exactly. Sorry, guys. No, I'm not. You know what you did.
Yeah. You lived in New York long enough that I don't think anybody
No.
can.
They're wonderful people. If they stay in their state.
There was a Twitch.
For those that can't see the video.
Yeah. Yeah, this really is sort of a grab bag of a movie, but it all fits together. Like
It does.
I really don't know how to explain it other than it's
No.
like curry almost, where
It
it's
is
just
kind of like curry. But there's even other things that are it's even more like, you know? Like ramen. You know those really weird ramens that you can get that have a lot of strange things in? I guess maybe it's just me. Like, I'm not used to ramen, you know? That has eggs, random hard-boiled eggs in it. It has weird spices. It has noodles. It has chicken. Sometimes it has weird meats in it. And every time you're like, what am I going to get?
we got to go for ramen at some point.
Yeah, we do.
I love ramen.
Yeah, just it's so good. It was a really good movie. I'm
Yeah.
really surprised. Like if you're interested in a good time as a movie, then you're in for one. Yes, there were like 6 asterisks there. If you don't know what they are, please go and watch the rest of this video again.
Yeah. I would say that this is not the quintessential crime film, but it is a quintessential crime film.
Absolutely.
I would say if you're looking for the quintessential crime film, I'd still probably point you to like Goodfellas.
No, Goodfellas is okay.
But
Oh, that's true. It was pretty good. I liked this one.
yeah,
It is quintessential, though. You're completely correct. I think Godfather 1, though, is still more quintessential
okay.
for crime.
That
personally.
that's fair.
And if you don't want quintessential, you can go watch 7.
That's if you're still looking for crime, I guess.
Yeah, if you're still looking for some crime, but you don't want it to be regular. Not regular crime.
Irregular crime.
Irregular crime. I'll have to go and find all the different tags for these.
So technical things that stand out. This kind of pioneered the stylized shaky cam.
They did shaky cam so well.
Like this was 2002.
Really?
Yeah.
That's about where I would have put it.
Yeah.
Get style. How do you mean stylized? Because shaky cam,
Like-
they had moments of shaky cam before this.
Yes, but I would
Like
say
in Schindler's List.
yeah. Schindler's List was after this though, wasn't it?
Was Schindler's List after 2002?
No, probably not.
I think it was the 90s.
I don't know. I think this kind of was what made it feel like it was part of
regular
this
movie
sort of a
thing. Yeah.
like it almost adds to the authenticity of the movie.
Yes, exactly. 'Cause it does.
Yeah.
In this case,
And
especially.
adds to sort of the dirty, gritty
Grittiness,
feel
exactly.
of the city and
Which
all
they
that
do
kind
a
of
great
stuff.
job with.
Yeah.
Wow.
And honestly, there are also a whole bunch of editing styles in this that kind of feel like they would clash, but they really don't.
Don't.
Like when we get scenes that have turn into split screen.
Mm-hmm.
And
For a second, and you're
yeah.
like, oh, no, this is fine.
Yeah, it feels like it should be out of place, but it really
Isn't.
isn't out of place. It's I think this movie is one of those ones that's just so intriguing to me because to this day, I've studied this movie. I've watched it over and over again trying to figure out how to make it back when I
Yeah.
was still wanting to make films.
Absolutely.
Because I wanted to make something like this.
Yes.
And I still can't figure out why all of these things work.
Yes.
And yeah, it is an enigma of a film, but it is so perfect.
Great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I really don't think that there's much more that we can talk about. If you haven't watched it, please do.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so good.
So next week we're watching The Green Mile.
How can you have a distance that is a color?
You'll find out.
Okay, cool.
next time.
week.
Have you seen it? I assume not.
Nope.
I have.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm imagining this has to deal a lot with lawnmowers. So
Next time we're watching The Lawnmower Man.
yeah. I think I know that one's a horror movie. Pretty sure I know that one.
I've never seen The Lawnmower Man, but it's not super well loved. Like
Nice.
it's one of those cult movies that like
Oh, nice.
some people really love it,
Yeah,
but most people go, yeah, that's just terrible.
it's just a bad movie. Nice. Good to know.
It's not one of those movies like Donnie Darko is on this list, right? That's a cult movie, but it's also one that most people can kind of agree like it's still a pretty good movie. We just don't have to go watch it in theaters every time that it's
I bet.
coming through. So I have seen Donnie Darko in theaters. But only once.
Nice. There you go.
I wouldn't be opposed to going again.
I don't know what it is. I'm guessing is a man that is dark.
We'll get there when we get there.
Okay, good. Watch The Shadow. The Shadow is such a good movie.
I've never seen The Shadow.
It's a good one.
Is that...
Not on the list, no.
No, I was thinking, is that one of like the superhero movies that
Yeah.
is like only half serious?
It's pretty serious, but yeah.
Okay.
I think you'd like it.
That's
To
quite
watch it as a
possible. Like
bonus at some point.
I like sort of half superhero movies quite a bit.
It is half
like-
superhero movie for sure.
Like Kick-Ass was one of my favorite movies.
Okay, that was an okay one.
Um,
No, wait. I don't think I'm thinking of the right one. Never mind.
Super is really good, but in like a really sort of messed up way.
Mhm.
That was one of James Gunn's first movies. It's called Super.
James Guns?
James Gunn.
Instead of someone else's guns?
It was one of his first movies, and it's about a guy played by Rainn Wilson, Dwight from The Office.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Who decides he wants to be a vigilante, and he goes around hitting people with a wrench, like criminals with a wrench.
There's a video game about this.
There is.
Mhm.
Is it BioShock?
No, it's Half-Life.
No, he's got a crowbar. In BioShock, you get a wrench.
Oh, sorry, Ratchet and Clank.
Oh. All right. I don't know how we end this, but we probably should.
I completely agree.
Tune in next time.
How do we end this?
Yeah.